We have significant breaking news regarding the Montreal Canadiens. Ivan Demidov is on his way. He will play this year. We'll discuss what happened and what to expect coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some significant breaking news regarding the Montreal Canadiens, one of the top prospects in the world outside of the NHL. And that's high draft pick for the 2024 NHL draft, Ivan Demidov, who's been playing this year in the KHL for SKA St. Petersburg. And we know their season came to a close here very recently. And as we discussed in yesterday's video, there was conflicting and confusing reports suggesting he was going to Montreal and that he was staying in Russia and that there was not really clear what was going to happen. I suggested we kind of err on the side of caution and think he's going to stay in Russia because it's not easy to get out of those contracts, and they usually play pretty hardball here when it comes to letting their players make the jump to North America and join the NHL teams that hold their draft rights. So, like I said, there was a report from Sports Express saying Montreal was still expecting him, and then there was other reports saying, well, hold on, he might be going to play in the VHL. Russia, the KHL team, doesn't seem to be, very easy to work with here. May not release him because technically their contracts go to the end of May. So he still had to negotiate an out of his contract to have it terminated so he could leave early instead of going to play for the lower level Russian team, for him to be able to make the jump to Montreal. But RG.org and Marco D'Amico have an exclusive interview that they just published here a short time ago. He spoke to them after terminating the contract. A couple of quotes from the article from Demidov says that his goal for the rest of the regular season is to adapt to the new style of play. Of course, big difference in how the game is played in North America versus in KHL and other European leagues. He says, most likely I'll have time to play in the regular season. So, of course, we know right now the Montreal Canadiens have, I believe it's 5, if I'm not mistaken, NHL regular season games left. They're in a very, challenging playoff push here, which they do have good leverage on, but having some extra reinforcements certainly couldn't hurt to come and help them with that final push to make sure they clinch and get in. And if he can play in the regular season, that means he can play in the playoffs, and have an extra weapon like him would possibly go a long way to having them not only make the playoffs, but have a better chance of having success in the playoffs. Still going to be tough, tall task no matter who they play. Right now, it's looking like they're going to cross over to the Metro and probably play the Washington Capitals, but that's not official. It's not a given. Things could change in the standings here a little bit. They do have a 5-point gap between them and the Ottawa Senators for the first wildcard spot, and then Ottawa's only 2 points back of Florida for the third spot, so there is some jockeying of position that could theoretically take place within the Atlantic Division, so it's not a given. If they stay, if they were able to move up, for example, they might play the Toronto Maple Leafs. They could play the Tampa Bay Lightning. There's still a variety of scenarios that could play out. He was also asked about, the status of the current team in Montreal and if he's been able to keep up with everything. And he said that he hasn't been able to watch the latest Canadiens games, but he's been keeping up with what's going on with the team, watching highlights and recaps. He's very happy that they're having success in a playoff spot. He was also asked about if he feels he's physically ready. He says he thinks he'll be fine. He also made mention that he was doing his best to learn the language, not only English, but French as well, indicating he could say a few sentences or a few phrases in French. So he's obviously, already trying to acclimatize himself to the culture and the language, which is going to be a big job. It's, something that takes a lot of time, but the fact that he's over there already trying and putting in an effort to learn, it's a good positive sign for sure. I'm sure the fans will love and appreciate that. And he says all the paperwork is done, and he's planning to go with his girlfriend on Tuesday. So he should be starting his journey sometime later today to make the jump to North America. I mean, it's obviously going to be, I'm not sure exactly when he'll arrive because I don't know what his flight path and schedule and all that. They're going to have to go through getting a work permit and all that stuff. So there's obviously some paperwork on the back end that's going to have to be processed. Going to sign a ZLC. So I'm not sure how quickly he'll get into a regular season game. I know Montreal They play Detroit tonight. They play Ottawa Friday. It's only 3 days. Not much time for getting paperwork done in practice. I'm going to say probably in the final, maybe two to three games after, like towards the week after, would probably be more likely, but we don't know. The NHL and the NHL clubs certainly have a way of expediting things sometimes, so it's really difficult to say, but this is significant news for the Montreal Canadiens. If Ivan Demidov is going to be joining their club, that's a massive boost. Except, he might be inexperienced, but he's highly talented, and fans have been anxiously anticipating his arrival. So this is only going to make the fan base, who's already, feeling really good right now about being able to, very likely clinch a playoff spot. This is just going to send them into a bit of a frenzy and happiness here for the team moving forward. So let me know your thoughts. Ivan Demidov is on his way. How impactful will he be? And how many regular season games do you think he'll get in here before the end of the season and playoffs get underway? Let me know your thoughts. We'll discuss further. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the news, rumors, and analysis of all 32 NHL teams. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.